Okay, so we're diving deep today and going local, England, local elections in May, all that. But what we're really looking at are some recent comments from Kemi Badenoch.
Conservative Party leader, right?
Exactly, from an interview she did recently. So what we want to do is kind of like unpack what the conservatives are thinking, their strategy going into these elections, especially because she's pretty upfront about, maybe not doing so well.
Yeah, I noticed that right away, that like honesty almost. She flat out says she expects them to lose seats in these May elections, and she links it back to, well, July 2024, right?
The general election.
Yeah, the general election where she called it their worst result in like 200 years. So basically saying, look, we took a beating. We need time to, like she said, rebuild trust with the public.
Interesting tactic, almost like setting the bar low so any wins look like like a comeback.
Could be. It's definitely worth keeping an eye on.
For sure. And, just to clarify for our listeners, we're talking about county councils and unitary authorities here. So these are the folks who run things like schools and roads, local stuff, not national.
Right. Very different from Parliament. But what she seems to be doing is connecting those potential local losses to that big national defeat. Like there's a through line there.
She even mentioned, like, if those local results mirrored the general election, they could be looking at losing almost all their council seats.
Wow. Yeah, that's a big statement. I mean, traditionally, the party in power nationally tends to have a tougher time in these local elections. It's like a midterm slump,
It happens.
happens all the time. But the scale of what she's hinting at, that's what stands out. She keeps talking about the next general election as this long journey, rebuilding and working hard for every vote in these local elections.
So, like, every vote matters. High stakes.
Definitely.
And what's her main message to voters?
Pretty standard conservative stuff, actually. Lower taxes, better services, that whole thing. The idea that conservative councils give you more bang for your buck, essentially.
But given how things went nationally, getting people to buy that locally, that's got to be tricky, right?
Absolutely. It's an uphill battle for sure. But here's where it gets really interesting. She talks about the Reform Party.
Ah, the up-and-comers.
Exactly. And she frames the conservatives as, the adults in the room, the party with credibility, seriousness, experience. And she contrasts that with Reform, saying, look, these guys have never even run a council before. They'd be learning on the job.
So experience versus fresh perspective, kind of.
Yeah, you could see it that way. But experience aside, what do you think is actually driving Reform's appeal, especially in certain areas? Is it specific local issues? Frustration with the national government?
Good question. And she does say they're facing competition from the Greens, Liberal Democrats, Labor too. Depends where you are, of course. So maybe they're realizing they need to tailor their campaign, be more local.
Definitely. Local politics is all about knowing your area. And recognizing those different challengers, it suggests they get that they need to be more strategic and nuanced. And finally, about her leadership. When asked if major losses in May would make her rethink things, she said flat out no.
No hesitation.
None. Which, tells us she's committed to her leadership, to this rebuilding plan, regardless of what happens in May.
Interesting. So just to sum up, we've got Badenoch setting expectations, maybe softening the blow of potential losses. We've got to focus on the long game, winning back trust, and pitching the conservatives as the steady hand locally.
All while kind of pushing back against newer parties like Reform.
And reminding everyone of their track record.
Right.
So here's a thought for everyone listening. Knowing they're expecting these losses, what could the conservatives do strategy-wise as we head toward the next general election?
What are their options? What are the potential outcomes? And, bigger picture, what does it say about the current political scene when a party in charge is already bracing for defeat?
A lot to think about.
Lots to unpack.
Thanks for joining us for the deep dive. We'll be back next week with more in-depth analysis.
See you then.